Hello, hello, good evening. It's Monica from Life is Art and Scrap. It's almost Monday. Let's create. This evening we are going to be making a layout with some sweet summer memories. And I'm just waiting for my video to catch up with me. Hopefully we've gone live. It appears that we have. There's the video. Oh, and we're pretty much on the screen. Hooray, hooray. If you're joining me live, just say hello or howdy so I know you're here. And if you're watching later on replay, you can say replay and leave a comment because I like to see who's been stopping by and checking everything out. Hi, I see my mom is here. Hi, Mom. And so we're going to be looking at one of the collections in the annual catalog that just started in May. We're going to be looking at the one that goes along with the birdhouse. It's the country lace. So we've got Country Woods, which is the wood grain collection here, but we also have Country Lace, which is nice sort of soft patterns, very country kind of denim and eyelet and beautiful soft colors, grays, blues, and pink. We've got the Petal Pink in there. We've got some Misty Moonlight, some basic beige, some smoky slate. And so they're nice neutrals, but they create beautiful layouts and projects of any kind. And so we're going to be looking at that. We're also going to be using a stamp set that was in the catalog last year and is still available. And that is called the Love This Moment stamp set. Let me just bring it in here so you can see. So we've got Love This Moment. We're going to use a couple things out of there, but primarily we're going to be using the Flowers of Beauty stamp set. And that one was the stamp set that was featured in the catalog along with, let me see, nope, goes the other direction. It was Unbounded Beauty. There we go. Unbounded Beauty. And there was the Flowers of Beauty stamp set. And these are fun because you can do layers. So you can do the base color of the flower and then the outline. So we're going to show those today. And we're going to add some bling, some photos, and that will make for a nice layout. And I've just banged into my lamp. So today we're going to be starting out with a base page of, I believe it's Smoky Slate. And you will notice something about this Smoky Slate, I'm sure, right off the bat. And my Smoky Slate seems to have a hole in it. And that's okay because we're actually using the circle, the 3-inch circle that was cut out here as part of actually 3¼ inch circle. And it's going to be on our layout. But this part of our base page is going to get covered with pattern paper, and so we won't even ever notice that there's a hole there. This is the only time you're going to notice it, and that's okay. So never fear. If you want to conserve a little bit of weight in your album, or you want to just not have to cut into a whole nother piece of cardstock, then you can do some die cutting before you begin your layout if you're, as long as you're die cutting in a place where it's not going to be noticed later. And you can even do some gutting out on your paper where you just leave a frame of the base page, and that reduces bulk and weight in your albums and conserves paper, which is a win-win, I think. So we're going to be looking at some of the pattern papers from this Country Lace collection. The first piece is this Petal Pink piece, and it has dots of various sizes on it, sort of like eyelet dots. If I bring it up closer to the camera, hopefully you can catch a glimpse of that. And it's Petal Pink, which is a little bit hard to catch on the camera. And it's actually, to me, it is pinky, but it's like kind of that peachy vibe. And so we're going to go ahead and add some adhesive to this. Put some at the top and the bottom. I'm just keeping in mind that we're going to have this circle here. So I don't necessarily want to put adhesive where it's going to come through the circle, right? So I'm going to put some adhesive down here and a little bit of adhesive up here. And we'll kind of skip this spot because when I flip this over, there's that bit of the circle that's taken away. And you don't want to have your layout sticking to everything. No, no, no. Now we could use an eraser later to take any adhesive off that does, per chance, come through that opening. There we go. And also the piece that's holding it down to our mat here. So this piece has been cut to 2.5 by 12 inches, and I'm just going to line it up right along the left-hand side. Now, if you want to further conserve your colored cardstock, you could always start with a base of white and then just add a strip of the smoky slate because there's only going to be a strip of it showing over here. We could do that, but I just went with the whole sheet minus the circle. So then I want to come in with another piece of the pattern paper, and that is this one, which is one of my favorites from this collection. And this is definitely gives off that eyelet vibe or the lacy vibe. The back side is this basic beige sort of textile-y distressed number. But boy, oh boy, of course it's in the blues. You can't go wrong with blues. There's also a denim look piece of pattern paper in this collection that is gorgeous. So we're just going to go ahead and add some adhesive there. Again, we're kind of jumping over where our hole is, where we've done some die cutting or cutting out. Because this is a 12 by 12, so I couldn't exactly die cut it, but I managed to get a circle out of there anyway. And then we're just going to line that up. In this piece, I guess it would have been good if I said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5.5 inches wide by 12 inches. And so there, we've kind of created sort of 2/3, 1/3. We've got patterns going. We've got our solid. We've got 3 different colors now. The Petal Pink, the Misty Moonlight, and the Smoky Slate. And now we're going to come in with a third piece of pattern paper from this collection, and that is this in the Smoky Slate. So we're picking up on that base color, but it's in a pattern. It's textile-y, and oh, my video has frozen on me. I hope it's going for everybody else. Yeah, weird. Let's jump ahead. I don't think it did freeze for anybody else, but I must have touched something and made it freeze on my screen. Hopefully you're all still seeing it. Let me know in the comments if the video is still going good for you. It seems to have frozen again on me here. So we'll continue on, and hopefully the recording will be fine, even if you can't watch it live. So we've got this piece that's the Smoky Slate, and it's got sort of a nice textile. It's got like ridges, like a textile, and then it's got this beautiful stripe, and it's kind of distressed. It reminds me of an old tea towel almost. And this piece has been cut to 7 inches by 8 inches. We're going to go ahead and add some adhesive on this and stick it down to our base of all the other beautiful patterns. The back side is in that basic beige, and it's another eyelet pattern that's kind of hard to see. The camera doesn't always pick up well on these really light colors, but it's very pretty in person. Okay, so we're going to attach this maybe about 1.75 inches from the bottom and a little bit in from the side, maybe 2 inches or 1 7/8 inches, something like that. It's a little bit lower to the bottom, and I don't mind that at all. And then what I want to do is I want to show you my photos. So the photos I have for this are pictures of my grandparents and myself, and these were taken several years ago, but more than several. And I'm just trying to grab one more picture. I had 3 photos, and they're not necessarily all taken on the same day, but this one was taken in the daytime. And the reason I don't think they were taken on the same day is because there's different flowers on the table. If you see that, there's a vase there with some roses, and this one has some carnations. So I don't think they were the same day, but that's okay. This one was taken in the evening, and along with this one. And I was apparently in a purple phase because I have purple shirts in both the pictures, but they're different purple shirts. Or I was wearing it inside out one day. So these pictures, now the location for these pictures is the Sleepy Hollow. Now, I'm not talking about from the scary movie Sleepy Hollow. This is a screen house or a gazebo, all screened in my grandparents' backyard that was perfect for having dinner out there. We would spend the evening out there. My grandpa would listen to the baseball game on the radio, and we would sleep out there, which was very exciting when we were kids. Plus, it was nice and cool because my grandparents never had air conditioning. So it was nice and cool in the summer, sleeping outside. And of course, they had, those vintage patio lanterns strung around on the roof that looked like upside down flowers, and there were bamboo poles with like shower curtains, which are pretty much this misty moonlight color that you could untie and then roll down, so that if it was raining or if the dew was going to be heavy at night, you'd roll those down and then you wouldn't get wet while you were sleeping. So I've gone ahead, these are 3.5-inch square photos, and I've gone ahead and made some 3 3/4-inch Petal Pink photo mats for them with the Petal Pink cardstock. And then for this one, this is actually a 3 1/4-inch circle, I believe. Sorry, no, 3-inch circle. And then I've cut some smoky slate. You recognize this from the background, in a 3 1/4-inch circle to act as a photo mat for this photo. So let's go ahead and stick these photos onto their mats. Like so. We're just going to center them. And I liked how well the patterns and the colors in the Country Lace collection worked with these photos. And this particular photo, I think, was taken, or these 2, I think this was actually my grandpa's birthday. His birthday was in the summer. And I think he got this wooden sort of magazine / newspaper bin for his birthday. It had a boat on it. I believe it exists somewhere in my house these days. And so we're going to go ahead. We're going to attach these onto our base. And you will notice that I'm applying my adhesive somewhat towards the somewhat towards the center of my photos. Now, if you notice here, trying to go straight, stripes in the pattern should help. I'm actually coming over a little bit farther than that second pattern, so that everything's just a little this way and that way, and I like that little bit of here and there kind of feel to this. Really kind of plays up that whole scrapbooky feeling. My grandmother actually had a lot of old manila colored scrapbooks that she would keep newspaper clippings in and things like that. And I always thought that was super cool. And so now here I am, a grown-up, and I make scrapbooks too. I don't use manila colored books to do it, but it's the same idea, just a different time and a different resource. There we go. So we centered that on the smoky slate, and we'll attach that. I think it's nice when you kind of mix up the shapes sometimes. I don't often do circle photos, but I think it's kind of fun because you're just adding a little something extra. You know, I thought it was nice to see this greenhouse in the daytime versus the evening, because it kind of rounds out the story, right? When you're scrapbooking, part of what you're doing is you're telling a story. So let's go here, and I've cut out a piece of the Misty Moonlight using the Nested Essentials dies. I used the smallest one of the rounded rectangle. So these are the Nested Essentials. So I've got that rounded rectangle, and it creates a little bit of a dot texture around the border, which is lots of fun. And what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to actually make it become a tab, like a file folder kind of tab. And I'm going to tuck it under here, sort of halfway. In fact, I could cut it in half, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to stick the whole thing down. And so if I want, I can come in later and I can add a date or something on there. I'm going to leave it blank for now. It's just going to be there as a bit of, you know, something different to see. And then I'm also wanting to bring in some of the florals from the Flowers of Beauty. Now, you don't need to put a floral on every layout, but my grandfather was a big gardener. He had a lot of flowers. And so, you know, these flowers that are pictured here, possibly not the carnations, that was probably for, you know, a special occasion from the store, because I don't think he really grew carnations. But these other flowers would have been something that he grew in his own garden. So it seems appropriate. Plus, we've got the flower lanterns here, and every photo has flowers. So it seems appropriate to use a flower as an embellishment. And so I thought I would just give you a quick little look at what I'm going to do with these flowers. So I've got a little piece of cardstock here. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get our, maybe we'll go with the biggest to show this. So we've got our biggest flower here. And this is the one that gives the all over color to the flower. And I wanted to bring in a color that would coordinate with the colors in my photo, as opposed to the colors in the paper. And so my grandmother's wearing this sort of reddish pink dressing gown. The flowers here are sort of reddish pink. There's a pot here that's reddish pink. So I wanted something a little bit more bold than the petal pink that's going on here. So what I decided on was to give cherry cobbler a try. And you might think, ooh, that's going to be too much. But there is a method by which you can make it a little less much. And so I've got a little bit of scrap paper here, just some sticky notes. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to ink up my stamp. And then I'm going to stamp it once, stamp it twice, and then I'm going to stamp it onto my cardstock. And what that does is you can definitely see that the first generation of stamping that you do, or the stamping off, is very dark. The second is a mid, and then the third is a lighter one. And that's going to give us that sort of reddish pink look that we're going for, without being that strong cherry cobbler red. Okay, this is a little more muted, which will go a little bit nicer with the country lace collection. So then we also can come in with the outline for our flower. And you say, okay, well, we're going to stamp an outline, but what color are we going to use? Well, to tell you the truth, we're going to use the color that we just used. We're going to use the cherry cobbler. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ink it up, and I'm going to stamp it off once, and then I'm going to have to come closer to myself, come over to my flower and stamp it on my flower. And because we have done only stamping off one time, that leaves a little bit darker ink on here for contrast. So you see how it's got a little bit, and it's not perfectly lined up, and that's okay. If we're worried about it, we can always try again. We can ink, stamp off once, stamp off twice, stamp it again. There we go. We can ink this up. And this time we're just stamping off once. Let's see if we can line ourselves up a little bit better. Yeah, that's a little better. Look at that. Sometimes it just takes a little practice. I did a few of them ahead of time, but that's the idea. First, second, and third generation stamping, even fourth generation for some inks like this that are nice and dark to begin with. You can get lots of variation. And so I've done the same thing using the garden green and this leaf. So I've stamped out the leaf in second generation and second generation, and I did third generation for the solid part of the leaf. And then I also did the smaller flower, and I did second generation, so stamped off once and then onto my cardstock for the main part. And then I did just solid stamping. I didn't do any stamping off, just solid with the Misty Moonlight to create the smaller flower. So let me bring those in so you can see. So there's the leaf, and there's the little flower, and I think those look really nice with the cherry cobbler, but it's definitely different colors than what is in the country lace. So we're going to go quickly ahead, and we're going to rough cut around our flower, and then we're going to fussy cut because you knew there was going to be fussy cutting. Now, if you are quick on the draw, you still have, this is the last day to get the Stampin' Die bundles at an extra 10% off. Did you know that the Stampin' Die bundles are already discounted 10% just because you're buying them together as opposed to buying the stamp and then buying the die? But for the month of June, we have a special going on, which ends tonight, and that is to get another 10% off a Stampin' Die bundle. So if there's one you've had your eye on, you may want to do that today while you get the extra sales benefit, right? Because it's on sale. So there we go. We fussy cut around. We pivoted our paper. We left a little halo of the white, just like it would be if we die cut it, but we didn't have to die cut it. So let's bring back in our layout, and I'm going to stick it back down to my mat just so we keep everything in one spot. And we're going to do some embellishing. So first off, I want to add, now of course I stamped some of these ahead of time and fussy cut them, and I want to add some embellishing in a few places. So we're going to be adding some there like that. And I'm not even going to worry about doing any foam tape. We're going to do some flat scrapping on this today because I know some of you like that. And so we're just going to add our adhesive here. Let's stick these down. We're going to make a few little clusters because it's nice to have little clusters of things on our layout. Kind of draws your eye around the layout. Now, when you're looking at these flowers, you'll notice that the little, what are they called? The stamens are kind of pointing one direction. So you might want to keep those pointing up. I don't know. It seems like it's appropriate for this particular flower to have them pointing up. And we're just going to kind of ring around the edge of this. Actually, I'm going to tuck that one under, I think. We're going to ring around the edge of this round photo mat. And then let's even add a little bit more, maybe this and this. Do I want a big one? Maybe I want a little one. Maybe I do. Yeah, maybe I do. I think I do. Let's add a little one up there. Just hanging out on the edge. Maybe we even put the flowers that way. Have the flowers going that way. Stick it on. There we go. So sometimes people tell me they like to do flat scrapping, and the main reason I think people like to do it is because they're going to put so many pages in their album, and they think that flat scrapping will help them be able to put more pages, which is probably true. But if you like dimension, then you go ahead and put dimension on your pages. All right, let's create another little cluster here. We're going to do all 3 of these ones that we've got ready here. I think I really like the fact that we've got 2 different sizes of florals, 2 different colors of florals. We're going to create a little cluster right up here at the top, and they're different, different from the background. I think that's kind of lovely. We're just going to tuck that in there like that. And let me see. We stick it on there. Maybe there. Stick it on there like that. All right, what else have we got? I want to add a title on here. And my title has been cut out using some dies that I have in my stash. So I have cut out the word summer because in the winter, the Sleepy Hollow would get covered up. It was not used for people in the winter. It had boards that would go over the screens, and then of course all of the summer stuff would be stored in there. So, you know, tables and outdoor chairs and all the things would kind of get tucked in there, and for safekeeping. So I'm going to use the word summer as my title, and kind of like summer memories. So one good thing about having this striped pattern paper, and I thought about this when I was deciding how to cut it, one good thing about having this striped pattern behind here is that I have a guide to help me line up my letters. Because if you're like me, lining up letters can sometimes be a little bit challenging. Is that the word we want to use? Near impossible, shall we say? So having a horizontal line is helpful. If I put my stripes vertical, it wouldn't have helped me at all in this instance. But because I put them horizontal, there was method to my madness. It gives me a line to follow. And so let's go ahead, and I'm using some liquid glue to stick this down. Just enough, not so much that it's going to squish everywhere. More sticking, less squishing is the name of the game. There we go. Sounds like my kiddos have returned. Joshua and Julia were at the Brampton Honey Badgers basketball game this afternoon. The cadets' flag party and band were there helping with the opening of the game. And it looked like there was some cheerleaders or gymnasts there as well, maybe for halftime. And I think even a dance troupe was there. So they had a lot of things going on at the game today. So the cadets were there playing Old Canada, and they had the flag party. And so Julia was in the flag party, and Joshua may have been actually playing the bass drum because it's summertime. And so a lot of the cadets, you know, because first week of summer, a lot of the cadets are actually away, you know, family holidays and whatnot. So even though he is not a cadet anymore. He's a civilian volunteer with the cadets. He's in charge of the band, and so he may have been filling in for the bass, which, you know, it's marching, so it's got the big harness and everything. You got the big bass drum, and yes, he says it's very heavy. So let's add one more cluster, and I wanted to wait until I had my title on there to know what kind of space I had to work with. So we're going to go ahead and add a little bit of leafy goodness here. Oh, I've already got adhesive on there. We're going to add our floral right there. And another little bit of floral. This cluster will maybe make a little bit bigger than the other ones. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. I'm going to add that guy there. And then maybe even another leaf. I may need to trim the stem on this one. We'll see how far we can tuck it in. No, that'll be okay. Like that. And then maybe we'll even add another one of these little guys. The little blue ones, the Misty Moonlight. And tuck it in like that. There we go. Looking good. Now, I also wanted to add a little bit more wording on here than what's here. Now, I can add a little bit here. And so I might do that later on. I just haven't decided what I want to do. But I have some little strips. And these are ones that I have stamped on using the words from the Love This Moment stamp set that's still available. And it's got a lot of little sayings that are great for mini albums and scrapbook pages and some journaling lines. And it's got all sorts of little symbols, which are great for journals too. So if you're somebody who does journals, then those are good things to have a go at. So we've got 3 things. I've got memories that I've stamped out. And I'm going to use my tweezers to help me with this. So I've got memories, and I want these, again, remember how we're kind of not lining anything up with the, with anything. We're not lining anything up. So we're kind of making everything a little bit offset. So we're going to continue that with our little words here. And I'm using the tweezers for this because then I can kind of direct them where I want them to go and not get my fingers in all the adhesive. And also so I can see what I'm doing. I find when I'm trying to hold it with my fingers are in the way. I can't see where things are going. So there we go. We've got memories. I love this. Never forget. And then I've got some journaling. Can you imagine? I've actually done journaling. So I've got some journaling to add down here. Just things I wanted to say. Give a little bit of context. It's not very in-depth journaling, but... And again, we can use those horizontal lines in the pattern paper to help us line things up. If I was smart, I would do it this way where I'm actually holding it with the tweezers when I put the glue on. There we go. And those ones were stamped with the Memento Tuxedo black. And these ones were just written with a blue journaling type pen. I thought blue would be okay because we've got a lot of blue. And blue's my favorite color. So, you know, it all works out that way. There we go. And that is pretty much done, but I think I want to add a little bit of sparkle onto here. So I've got the Rhinestone Basic Jewels, just to add a little bling bling here or there. Got my take your pick tool, and let me see. We'll add a few of these guys there. There. And maybe even, whoops, I thought I picked it up, but I didn't. I just released it and then let it go. I know that's a long triangle. We kind of create triangles with the bling. And I think that looks good to me. I think I'm done there. So there, that is our completed layout using the country lace pattern paper. We started out with that base of the smoky slate, cut out our circle for our photo mat, and then covered it up with our pattern paper. We added the photo mat down here for a little accent photo. And then, of course, that first, second, third generation stamping off to create the different values that we wanted for our floral clusters in the cherry cobbler and the garden green and the Misty Moonlight. We've got our petal pink, the cardstock that we used here, of course, to match with this beautiful pattern paper. And then we've got this lovely horizontal stripe. So we've got some vertical lines happening here with our base, and then we've got a bunch of horizontal lines happening with our pattern paper and our words and our title. And I think it just kind of brings it all together. You need a little bit of vertical, a little bit of horizontal, a little bit of pattern, a little bit of solid. You know, all of those things work together to create a fun layout. I hope you guys enjoyed seeing these sweet summer memories of my grandparents and the Sleepy Hollow come together on this country lace background using the Love This Moment stamp set and the Flowers of Beauty. And if you feel inspired to create a layout like this yourself, be sure to take a photo and pop it in the comments when I post this on the Facebook page. Thanks, Rhonda, for watching this evening, and my mom, and we will see you again soon. Toodaloo. Bye.